Hey everyone, wanted to do another little comparison video tonight. Got a few recent acquisitions. This is the ZT450 that I've had for quite a while. It's pretty much become a mainstay for me, especially since it's been engraved with my name on the blade and everything, and is pretty fairly standard for comparison. To me, the 450 is one that I've kind of come to view as kind of the gold standard for, titanium frame lock flipper action, as it's broken really nicely. And just love the lines on it. And then this guy up here is the Wisp. And I've been kind of searching for a Wii that would kind of stick around and work for me better. I had a Wii kite fin that the ergonomics just didn't quite work for me. I had a couple Civivis, the Brigand that I liked a bit but moved on from, and one of the Isham designs that the flipper tab just didn't work and I could not get the thing to reliably deploy. So that was in my ownership for about 10 minutes before it went back up for sale. But these two blades have a lot of similarities, and why I wanted to just do a little overview. Starting with the packaging, moving on, pros and cons of each, kind of showing how they relate and everything. So just to start off, ZT right here, the 450. One thing I'll say, I like ZT quite a bit for a lot of their quality, but they've got some of the most vanilla, lazy kind of packaging. Nothing fancy in there, just a little booklet. Came in some bubble wrap and whatnot inside of there. So there's the 450 for you. Wii and Civivi tends to give a lot more out as far as freebies and whatnot. At least the sticker right there for one. The kite fin I had was actually the limited edition in 20 CV, so it had a little bit more fancy stuff going on with the packaging, but it didn't come with a pouch, which I kind of like. If you've had a Civivi, you'll know that those come with pouches as well, but I kind of like that this came with these little internal compartments for the actual knife, as well as I'm keeping the microfiber cloth up in the upper compartment there right now, but could also slide in like a set of bits, Torx bits, a little aluminum handle or whatever if you're doing a disassembly. So I kind of like this pouch. The fact of the matter is I don't tend to use these knife pouches all that much since I've got a display case and stuff, but it's an addition that makes me feel like I'm getting a little more for my money, so whatever. And this is the Wisp right here. A little bit of an older model, at least. I don't know if it's discontinued or if there just isn't all that much more availability. What I can tell you is that this particular one I got secondhand at a good price, but I believe that this blue variant is still, there's one as of the filming of this that's on sale for $210 as like a scratch and dent thing, because there's a scratched clip I think they said on Blade HQ. Normally they're around $235, $240-ish, and I think there's still green ones available on a lot of your big retailer sites and whatnot. But anyway, I'll get into a little bit of a comparison with both of these. They are both 3 1/4 inch blades. They are both S35 VN steel. Both close enough in weight that you can't really tell much difference. And personally, I just find a lot of similarities going along with the lines, the overall shape, similar on this kind of y-axis dimension, as well as this dimension. Generally, the handles are very similar in thickness, even though the Wisp has a bit thinner blade stock and everything going on. And there are some of the differences to point out. So for both of these, as just a size reference real quick, I'll give you the Spyderco Para 3 Lightweight. This is the 3 inch blade, slightly larger handle and everything. But it's one more people might have in their collection. So to highlight some of the more different aspects of these, like I mentioned, the thinner blade of the Wisp is one thing it's got going for it. It's both thinner in stock as well as a much more aggressive grind. It is a hollow grind, so it comes down quite a bit thinner behind the edge. I can't speak too much on the edge because this was secondhand. I don't know how much use it had gotten, but it didn't feel nearly as sharp coming out of the box as the kite fin that I had. That had a very laser beam kind of blade. It makes me curious sometimes when they do these hollow grinds if they're not going as acute rather, on the actual secondary bevel, or if they might be widening it out to 20 degrees per side or something like that. So I've had to do a little bit of work just touching up the edge and whatnot. It's still not the sliciest thing ever, but it's pretty damn good. This guy, unfortunately the blade is one of the less slicey ones, I guess I'd say, because of the narrowness on this dimension again, as well as it's got a bit of a saber grind into that flat portion. It's just not, it's fine and, totally, totally fine for EDC and whatnot. It's just not as much of a, laser beam kind of thing, cutting through phone book paper or something like that. As you can kind of see, I hope, the action, like I mentioned on the ZT, is kind of become a standard for me. It's broken in really well, and it doesn't take a whole lot to shake it shut. And that's what I was finally satisfied with finding this Wii. One of the big things. It's got a very similar kind of satisfying action. Different sound to both, slightly different feeling, but they're both equally snappy coming out and smooth closing up as well. The big reason for me why the kite fin in particular didn't stick around was just the ergonomics of it, and that's one thing where this felt a lot better to me, and there's a couple reasons for that. The main thing with the kite fin is, and you can see they do it here too, Wii likes to do these forward finger choils right up here, and again I find myself like, this is very comfortable to me, but going up to use this doesn't always feel like it's putting it in my hand in the position I want to cut with. This kind of grip is much better compared to the kite fin to me, but still on a 3 1/4 inch blade, sometimes I feel like I do prefer just the straight kind of full sharpened edge length like this guy. But it's a difference. Some people that's going to be more appealing, and it's kind of growing on me as it spends more time in my hand. Ergonomically, I also do very much appreciate one thing I didn't quite get a sense of based on pictures, but these carbon fiber inlays are actually convex, so they stick out up above the flat titanium handle. It gives you a little bit more purchase and everything. Fills the hand out nicely. It feels pretty good. They've got some fairly gentle jimping going on right back up here, and a pretty nicely crowned spine and everything. So it works well. It's a very different feeling from the ZT, but it feels a lot better than some of the other Wiis I've held. The Gava being the other one that also was fine. It just wasn't quite as pretty, frankly, as this one. And yeah, I like this. The 450, of course, is pretty well known. It's been out for, a decade or so. And one of the things I hear from a lot of people who have handled these, who have moved on from them, is issues with the ergonomics. And I might be the oddball here. Maybe it's just the size of my fingers or something, but I am actually able to get all 4 of my fingers within this gap between this protrusion and the end up here. So it gives me a feeling of kind of like hugging my fingers. So the ergonomics of this have really grown on me. Another thing that's got a bit of a different feeling in this is that there's more of a slope this way into the blade, so there's more of a ramp going down where your thumb lands, and I do like that quite a bit. It's also great, choking up for that kind of thing. But yeah, it's working well for me. Both of these guys, the clip, I have no ergonomic issue with. Excuse me. I did end up getting a deep carry clip from ZT for this guy that they sent for free. That's one thing I'll add, is ZT seems to have great customer service support and everything else. But the deep carry clip was black, and it also was a bit shorter, and it actually was landing kind of right here on this edge right here where they've got the lock bar relief cut out. So it didn't feel like it was clamping down nearly as securely onto my pants and whatnot. Also, just the looks a little bit with the black I didn't like quite as much, and frankly, it's secure enough and whatnot that I don't feel the need for a deep carry clip too much. Um, as far as how it rides in my pocket, and so I've pretty much gone back to the standard one. This guy has a milled titanium clip, which I'm not always a fan of, but it's done pretty well here. They've got it landing on the carbon fiber inlay, so it's very smooth going in and out. There's just the right amount of tension for me, I think. There's nothing gritty or anything in the way, and it works quite well. Just the right amount of tension. This one's, yeah, this is one of the better titanium milled clips I've had. Action-wise, like I said, both are pretty, gold standard to me. I haven't handled the really high-end stuff like your, Shirogorovs and Grimsmos and whatnot, but very satisfying popping out on both, very smooth on the close. The one difference I would highlight that I do give points to the Wii for is with this carbon fiber inlay, it covers a little bit of the lock bar area up here, which actually makes it a lot more forgiving for being able to flick it open if you've got your finger at all resting in this area. It makes it a little bit more natural to have your fingers on this carbon rather than pressing on the lock bar, so you're less likely to get any kind of an issue with increasing the detent strength there, causing the blade to not want to pop out. That was a much bigger issue on the ZT at first when I had it, but frankly I've had it long enough that it's broken in quite a bit and don't really notice it anymore. So those are the overall thoughts. Conclusions-ish, I mean, like I said, these are both ones that have come to light quite a bit. The ZT is just grown on me more and more over time, both in terms of the looks and the lines. And, of course, the action and stuff. The other ZT I've got as well is another case of, it definitely has a break-in period, I feel like. Once it smooths down some of those surfaces where some of the metal's contacting, it feels a lot much nicer just in those deployments and closings, just very smooth and, yeah, just great to use. The Wii, again, on that stuff as far as smoothness, again, since it's secondhand, I have no idea what this would have felt like any differently out of the box, but the previous owner certainly has done a great job of either breaking it in or oiling it, or maybe it was like this just out of the factory, but very satisfied with both. The ZT, of course, just with the fact that I got my name on it, it's mine, totally fine. It's a standard. I like it. I'm happy with it. It's a great EDC. It's kind of one of your standards to be up there with the Benchmade 940 or the, Spyderco Para 2, Para 3 even, I guess. Just a classic standard to me around this price point. The Wii for me, I like having the splash of color. I like having another guy that's got a little bit of the this kind of size range, and the titanium frame lock flipper is definitely, a great kind of EDC size range for me. I typically go for sub 3-inch stuff, 3-inch and under, I guess I should say. But it's a little tougher to find good flippers in that area. So this is a good size range, and again, both weight, carry profile, and whatnot fit that well. This guy to me, I feel like is going to be sticking around a while. This is the Wii that kind of has done it for me, that just feels right and what I was looking for. But in the same breath, this is one I could see being dislodged in the future down the line if I decide to get crazy and go for a Shirogov Neon or something like that, because that's what would be a huge upgrade. So these are really, just very much kind of parallels each other. They're both very similar, fill a very similar niche. Got some advantages and disadvantages to both. But to me, they're both solid choices. Really, the biggest difference is going to be price and availability. These guys have been around, like I said, for close to 10 years. They are not going anywhere. ZT's made them. In the US, been a few price hikes and whatnot, but I believe they're going for like 188, I think like around 190 new on the major sites. Frankly, there's going to be plenty of opportunities to find deals and sales on the 450s, I'm sure. These guys, I mentioned the price briefly at the beginning. Um, 40, 50 bucks above that is the sticker price, I guess it would be. And I can kind of understand that, very similar materials, except they've added in this carbon fiber inlay and everything. The titanium milled clips, a little bit of an upgrade. Probably a slightly more complicated grind with doing that hollow and everything. And just a better slicing blade. Other than that, extremely similar. I just like having the nice inlay work as far as looks go, as well as the blue anno going on. So yeah. And then the other, lastly, the obvious thing hopefully is, this is a ZT made in the States. This is a Wii made in China. If you care about that, you care about that. I do like supporting ZT for that reason. And I like a lot of their other models as well. So basically, those are my overall thoughts. Generally very positive on both of these guys. They're something I like. And hopefully that gives a little bit of insight into either of these if you're considering them. Certainly the 450 is enough of a classic that I feel like it's worthwhile for everybody who's into this kind of hobby to at least get your hands on one. And the Wisp is definitely a solid choice if you want something a little bit more off the beaten path, but with a similar feel to it. So yeah, there you go. Hope this was helpful. Have a good weekend.